So if you got on this webinar today expecting the Ultimate Agent Survival web class for selling by phone during the pandemic, you're in the exact right place, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And when I say the Ultimate Agent Survival Guide, this is what you're going to get today, is a survival. We're going to talk about how you can survive what's going on right now. Here's what I want you to do though. I want you to focus, silence your phone. That's the first thing you need to do, silence your phone. And in fact, it would be better for you. You'd get more out of it if you just turn your phone off, because if you're like me, I silence my phone, but I get these pop-ups on my phone, right? And so I tend to look over there and see what email I got or what text I got. And I'm really not doing myself justice and taking away from what I should be concentrating on. So silence your phone, or better yet, just turn it off. Get a pen and paper and take notes, because you're going to want to take a lot of notes. And these notes are about what you're experiencing and ideas that are going to crop into your mind of what you can do different to make money on. And if you don't make a note about it after the webinar, you're going to go, oh, what was that? What was that? And feel free to ask questions. I've got the chat box up here. You're welcome to put in there in the chat box and ask some questions. If I don't get to your questions during this webinar, I do go through the chats afterwards, and I will email you and answer your questions directly. But go ahead and put them in the chat box as we go, and I'll see what I can answer for you. And the most important thing you can do today is invest this time in yourself. I mean, you're already stuck at home. Your business has already been impacted. You took the time to get on the webinar. Why not just get something of value out of it? Before you rule me out, before you rule out the content you're going to get today, rule yourself in. You know, the mind's like a parachute. It only works when it's open. So just look for one concept that you can utilize to make your business better. Let's talk for a minute about who will benefit from this webinar. People who feel like that this will never end. I talk to agents all the time, and this is probably the biggest theme I hear. Will this ever end? And I get it. It's so frustrating to watch the news or read the news or see social posts. Everything is awfulizing and catastrophizing everything. It seems like that nobody out there in the government actually knows what to do. Our world, though, is within the things that we have the most influence over. So I get feeling like this will never end. The challenge, though, the thing I'm afraid of, is it will end, and I won't be prepared for what the end means. This is for people who feel like their lives are in limbo or treading water. I can't tell you the number of agents that I work with who constantly talk about they're either treading water, in other words, they've got more month left in check, or they feel like they're just in limbo. They don't know which market to attack. They don't know which market to go after. What lead source do I use? Who's buying what? They just feel like they're in limbo. And I get it. Businesses that struggle to maintain or even grow. There's brokers out there, small and big ones, that are trying to figure out how to maintain their business. I'm fixing my drink here. Maintain their business, or more importantly, grow their business. And this is for anyone looking to sell better. The only way you're going to make more at any time, but particularly right now, is you have to sell better. Clearly, if your way of marketing yourself is different than what the environment is now, you got to do something better. And if you're proficient at marketing yourself virtually and by the phone, you just got 100% competition coming into your marketplace, didn't you? Because everybody else feels like they have to do that. So I want to set the record straight about a few things. There's a lot of resources out there, and good. Thank goodness there's resources available to help us weather the storm, to help us grow our business, get more contacts, whatever it is. Thank God there's a lot of resources out there. There's resources that offer you qualified preset appointments with high net worth prospects. You can get involved in college planning and they'll show you how to market it. You can get annuity industry trends, index performances, and that's going to help your business with a certain population. Or maybe that you're going to find out how to leverage technology. I mean, Lord knows, I think everybody can do better with technology, including me. There's resources about appointment setting tools and software programs. There seems like there's a million of them out there now. And the funny thing about it with what's going on in the marketplace right now, everybody's become an expert, right? Isn't that funny? Maybe you need to get some resources to learn some tax strategies or how to roll over prospects. Maybe get pre-booked vetted appointments. Maybe growing a 7-figure practice. Where did the 7-figure become a big thing out in the marketplace now? Everybody's going to 10 times or 7 figures, right? Grow a 7-figure practice using LinkedIn. Or maybe get employee appointments. Maybe you do worksite marketing or benefits, whatever. There's a ton of resources out there. Here's my point about that. And here's the thing that I caution every agent that I work with on. The message to us when we get marketed to take advantage of these resources, and there's nothing wrong with the resources, but the message is if you just do this one thing, you're gonna make 7 figures if you do this one thing. That's the message. Now, maybe everybody on the call today has done that one thing and you hit 7 figures. If you achieve this one thing, like if you run Facebook ads and you get a 4.8% click-through rate, which is actually pretty good. If you get that, man, you're gonna have a ton of prospects. Just utilize this one thing. I mean, use our dialer, use our appointment setting software, and bam, you're gonna have all these appointments. That's the message to us. Implement this one thing. If you just implement this one thing, you're gonna 10 times your income. Where did 10 times come from? That's such a strange thing. Seven figures income and 10 times. If you just do this one thing, and I'm gonna address this in this visit today. If you maximize this one thing, you're gonna make a ton of money. If you just maximize this one thing, if you just maximize the rollovers, you're gonna make a ton of money. If you just maximize the tax law, you're gonna make a ton of money. And you know what? If you've been down these roads, you're obviously here today because you know that stuff alone doesn't work. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't work. I've used some of that stuff for years. I'm just saying that stuff alone doesn't work. You know that. Just because you sign up for it doesn't mean that 90 days later you're in 7 figures or you've 10 times anything, maybe 10 times ignored your family. I think, in my experience, we don't need more training. I think what we need is better training. All those resources are great, but there's a couple of things that are missing. And my promise to you today is that's exactly what I'm going to show you. Exactly. If you stick around to the end of it, you get the free downloads of my COVID-19 messaging. I wrote this way back when this first started. This is exactly how you can message consumers. This is exactly the kind of things, this is in the senior market. It's exactly the kind of thing you need to talk to seniors about for Medicare. So stick around the end, you're going to get that. I'll give you just a brief bio of me. You can look me up. I started with John Hancock in 1977. Didn't I look like a little young rookie back then? Started with John Hancock in 1977 as a debit agent. In 1979, I left there towards the end of 79 as a sales manager. I went over to a combined insurance company. I started as an agent, going door to door, walking and talking, not smiling and dialing. I became a field trainer and then a regional, ran my own team there. I eventually ran my own agency, ran my own team. That's me sitting down every Sunday night. I'd sit down and break out the leads and then go through those leads and figure out how to sell the leads to the agents, not for money, but to show them what the benefits were then. I got recruited to help run a career distribution center for American Republic Insurance Company. We ran a captive distribution and we did $55 million a year, 800 agents around the country. I've been interviewed by the Wealth Channel through American College. Scott Drake through Annuity News Now. I speak at a lot of industry events. In fact, I was going to speak in July at the Medicare Supplement Summit taking place in Chicago, but boom, not doing that now. And the American Association of Inside Sales Professional, I'm a mentor through them, and that's been canceled for this year. I write articles for a lot of industry-related magazines. A lot of my material is used by all kind of organizations. This is Jerry with the Texas Tech University School of Law. They use my material for their students. And broker-dealers all over the world use my material. You can get my latest book, The Sales Hero's Guide to Handling Objections. That's 248 insurance rebuttals and closes that close the sale. These are actual word-for-word rebuttals and sample closes. It was voted one of 73 best presentation books of all times by Book Authority. All right, let's dive into this. Great role model, I think, for building a business from nothing. You got to start with the customer experience and work backwards towards the technology, not the other way around. And I would tweak that for this industry and tell you that you've got to start with the customer experience and work backward to your product and your price and your carrier and you. Because the customer is not interested in your product. Here's what the customer has in front of them every day. This is back on February 27th. The headlines are plastered everywhere. The worst point drop in history. Will the Fed act? These are the kind of things that your consumers, the people that you're trying to talk to every day, are getting hit with. This is the unknown that they're having to navigate right now. As COVID-19 infects the stock, look at the wording that's being used in the news. Infects the stock market, the economy, and business face test. When you're calling about a product and your only focus is about a product and your only focus is to qualify that prospect for that product so you can give them a price, in a way, are you ignoring the emotional turmoil they're in? Are you diminishing what's actually happened in their life? Because I don't know about you, but this is the kind of nonsense I see out there all the time. In fact, I wrote an article right after that article came out. I wrote an article on what you need to tell your Medicare clients. Because agents were calling up with the exact same pitch that they used last year. And in fact, not only the same pitch, the exact same presentation as every other product hawking, price hawking salesperson. And they were using the same terminology. They're using terminology that's common and familiar to them, but they're not talking to the prospect about them. So I wrote an article to talk about that, because what's happening with our prospect matters to our prospects. And if we don't let them know that we're aware something's happening out there in the marketplace, then they clearly know that all you're interested in is pushing a product. They're told to listen to the stock market. That's what they're told to listen to. And you want them to listen to you, right? But they're being told, listen to the stock market. All right, so they're concerned about what's happening in the stock market. They're concerned about how that drills down to their job, to their income, to their spending, to their monthly disposable income, to the price of things. Anybody that's shopped at the grocery store today knows the prices have gone up since this whole thing started. They're being told to listen to the stock market. And you want them to listen to you, don't you? I wrote an article on Pandemic Ready, what your clients need from you. After I read that article I just showed you, I said, wait a minute, somebody needs to tell the agents what the clients need. And what they need is they need to have the thing that affects them the most and the thing that they use the most talked about in the order that those things are affecting them. I'm guessing that you and I are a lot alike. You probably get tons of email marketing stuff to you. That's probably how you got on this webinar today. You probably are getting phone calls from people trying to sell stuff to you. We can't this is not an environment we could compare ourselves to somebody else, to another company or product or agent. We have to contrast ourselves. But here's the challenge. We've got to contrast ourselves from everything that's going on. All the conflict, all the things that are creating emotional strife in our prospect's life, we have to contrast ourselves to that. And we have to do it in a way where they want to share what's happening. Because until we know what's happening, until we know what their fears and concerns are, they're probably not going to be interested in what we have to say. Listen, there's turmoil test the New York Stock Exchange to shut down the circuit breakers. The people you're talking to have already had their lives shut down. They've already had their lives shut down in some way or another. And it depends on what part of the country you're talking to them. Some people in certain parts of the country, certain parts of Georgia, and certain parts of Atlanta, people's lives are shut down different than where I'm at. Certain parts of Chicago, people's lives are shut down different than outlying areas, than Schaumburg. Downtown Chicago is different than Schaumburg, right? I mean, you can go to New York. My daughter lives up in Manhattan, and that's a horrible place right now to hear her describe it. But you can go to other parts of New York, like Albany, and they don't even know that there's that big of a problem. They just see it on TV. They're already shut down. What do we do to draw them out? What do we do to give them someone that they actually feel like, I can talk to this person? They're not interested in just selling me. They're interested in hearing me. And I know, I get it. Some of you are saying, Lord, they're not going to tell us what the person's have going on with them is. And the truth of the Lord, I'm trying to sell and make money. don't really care. I get that. I'm 100% on board with that. I feel the exact same way. And I'm not doing the feel, felt, found routine with you. I get it. I'm in business too. I have to call businesses to sell my products. But you know what? Before they care how much I care, before they care how much I know, they want to know how much I care. So I have to listen to people and let them share with me what's happening in their business until they want to know, after we have a good exchange, what it is I can do to help them with those things they say are happening in their business. I mean, particularly in the senior generation, the senior market, they're taking you back to 1929. They're showing newspaper articles from 1929. They're making that emotional connection to take people back to connect to in a time that was emotionally devastating to the whole family and to generations. They're calling it a trauma. And is it wrong? I mean, do you have family, friends, and relatives that feel traumatized by what's going on? Do you know salespeople, agents, managers, broker dealers, carriers who feel like they've had a trauma happen to them? Do you feel like you've had a trauma happen to you? I know I do. So what do we have to do? How do we address this? That's the question that's being asked. People are being asked all the time. Should you buy stocks when the market crashes? And the funny part about it is they're always experts, right? You read two different articles about the same question and they've got two diametrically opposed ways of handling it. And think about it, consumers are going where they think the experts are, and they're getting conflicting information. You're an expert, right? You're a highly trained licensed professional. See, you're somebody they would want to talk to. I wrote an article after that article came out. Ways to stress test your business for coronavirus impact. And let me tell you why I wrote that article. As I'm listening to agents, as this is going on, this is March 20th now, right? All this started like in February, right around February 17th. As I'm talking to agents, what I'm hearing from them is a lack of grasping the reality that their business may forever change now. Obamacare did that. The healthcare exchange did that. I mean, before Obamacare came out, it was difficult to get individuals, any individuals, particularly seniors, difficult to get them to enter personal health information, much less social security number, credit card information, enter that online to purchase insurance. That was really difficult to do it. It's funny, they'll do it for car insurance. Everybody do it for car insurance. Geico's been doing that for 20 years, but it was difficult to do that. And regardless of what your politics are, or what you thought of Obamacare, or still think of it, it did accomplish one thing. It made buying insurance online and on the phone more common than uncommon. And that's one of the things I talk about in this article. You need to stress test your business. You need to figure out how to do web classes like I'm doing right now. You need to figure out how to do Facebook ads. You need to figure out how to increase your profile on LinkedIn. You need to figure out how to communicate with your prospects. You need to have some kind of CRM. I'm not against the resources. I started off by talking about all those reasons. I'm not against them. But here's what I don't want to have happen. I don't want to invest my time, money, and resources in a resource and then use the same old approach, the same presentation, the same questions. If I run my business the same way I did before this, what good did it do me to have resources to address and compete in the changing economy? If in fact the way I interact with my prospects is exactly the same. And listen, if the way you're working with your prospects making you the money you want to make, get off the webinar right now. I'll probably have nothing to offer you. But this is going to end. The question isn't, is it going to end? The question is, where are you going to be when it does end? That's why I wrote this article, Ways to Stress Test Your Business for the Corona's Impact. Clients and prospects, they want ideas right now. They don't want to hear about your product. They don't want to hear about you. They don't want to hear about your price. They want an idea. They want you to tell them how they can solve the pressing problems going on with them right this minute. I mean, I'll give you an example. If somebody's got laid off from work, they can't go into work because of the quarantine or whatever's going on, and they don't have a check coming in, they shouldn't have to call in to find out how to do a waiver of premium or get a cash advance on their cash value of their life insurance policy. They should have an agent that's talking them through these things already. Clients and prospects, they want ideas right now. And that's what we should be doing. That's one of the things I talk about in this article. Right after this article, the CARES Act came out. And look at the headline, it includes essential measures to respond. Now write that down. Take your pen and write that down. So I gotta have some coffee to keep my voice warm so it doesn't close up. Write that down right now. Essential measures to respond to public health. That's a terminology that should be in the script that you're using when you talk to people, regardless of the market you're working with. What essential measures can they take to respond to the crisis going on right now? Whether it's the economy, crisis, whatever it is. And look, I can frame a question right there. Bob, let me ask you a question. What measures do you have in place to respond to the economic or public health crisis going on? Which one concerns you the most? Are you more concerned about getting COVID-19, or are you more concerned about how COVID-19 has impacted your finances? See, I can ask those kind of questions really easy and get a conversation going. And this is exactly what consumers are seeing every day. Look at the date, March 27th. This is August 14th. April, May, June, July, August. 5 months later, we're still sitting here. When you made your calls this week or last week, use the same script you used back 5 months ago. Stop doing that. Wall Street bounces back from a steep sell-off. Here's what to expect next. That's good news, right? This is April 6th. This article back here is May 27th. April 6th, what do you got? A couple of weeks later, Wall Street bounces back. Woo, got some hope. Hope is a magic ingredient motivating yourself and others. But they asked the question, right? You should write that down right there. Here's what to expect next. Turn that into a question for your prospects. What do you expect next to happen? What's next for you? Maybe that's how we get involved in the conversation. When the CARES Act came out, I wrote an article about the CARES Act. And really, here's why I wrote the article, for a couple of reasons. I wrote the article because agencies and broker-dealers were telling me that they didn't know how to relate that CARES Act to their customers. Well, if your customers are small business owners, they're the exact ones that are going to be applying for this CARES Act. You should know how it works. You should have this conversation with them. And it's amazing to me the number of agents and small broker dealers, mom and pop shops, that didn't realize the CARES Act could apply to them. That's why I wrote the article. You notice the articles I'm writing are about the things going on in the agent's life right now. And the things that you talk to your prospect about should be about the things happening in their life right now. You got to start with the customer experience and work backwards. In Steve Jobs' industry is work backwards towards the technology. In your industry, it's working backwards towards the solution or the product. We got to start with the consumer. We got to start with their experience. This is how Medicare does it. And I'm not a big fan of how the government communicates. I'm not a big fan of government overreach. I'm not a big fan of how cumbersome government can be. But I'm kind of a fan of the way Medicare communicates. Look at the first word in this sentence. They're not talking about the coronavirus. They're talking about what I've heard. You've likely heard about the coronavirus. While there isn't a vaccine yet, I like how they put the word yet in there, and the immediate health risk remains low, Medicare still here to help. Take those first 3 words, or the first 4 words, and that's your script. That's how you start your script off. You've likely heard about. I mean, what a great way to start it off. That puts people's gear shift of objections in neutral, and they're like, well, I heard about what? And Medicare is here to help. You're there to help, right? The next paragraph is they talk about my Medicare Part B. Yes, I have Medicare Part B. My Medicare Part B. Your Medicare Part B covers the test. And what's funny about this email came back when there was all the debating about whether Medicare would cover the test back in February and March. You see the date on this, February 4th. They send it out right then. Right then. You should be looking at headlines every day. Make a list. You write down the verbs and adverbs and include that in your scripts, because that's the things that people are talking about. Tells you what the test is covered. Don't tell them what you have. Don't tell them what you've got. Tell them what they get. The test is covered when your doctor or healthcare provider orders. See how it tells them what they get. And it tells them how to get it. I'm going to show you a way to do that. I know agents say to me all the time, well, Lloyd, how do you do that with health insurance? How do you do that with Medicare supplement? How do you do that with annuities? How do you do that with life insurance? I'm going to show you an example of that. But look what else they tell you. Look what else Medicare says. To prevent the spread of this illness or other illnesses, including the flu, and they give you a list of things. So to prevent being out of pocket, to prevent having to take your savings and losing the opportunity to earn interest on it, to reduce the taxes that you have to pay, it's the same terminology. You should be writing this terminology down. That's the script that we should be using. And notice it's conversational. And it's conversation about the consumer, not about Medicare, what they get. It doesn't tell them what to do. It tells them what they get. In fact, if you click the link and you go into testing, if you look under coronavirus testing, what do you see right there? Right here. What do you see right here? it tells you what it does, right? So it talks about what they get, and it's telling them how they do it. Medicare covers a test to see if you have coronavirus. This test is covered when your doctor or other healthcare providers orders it. If you get the test on or after the February 4th, go down here to what it is, things to know. What great ideas to have in a script. This is what it is, and this is what you need to know. That's the kind of conversation we need to be having with people. Let's look at some other ways they do this. They address it to me, not Mr. Lofton. And you know this is when you answer the phone and someone says, "Hi, can I talk to Barbara Allen?" How many of your family, friends, or relatives call your house and say, "Can I talk to Barbara Allen?" Right? Probably none of them. If somebody calls up and use your first and last name, you already know they're a salesperson. I don't know why we shoot ourselves in the foot by doing this. They send an email out and say, "Lloyd." According to the CDC, older adults and people who have severe chronic medical conditions like heart, lung, blah, 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 are at a higher risk. They're immediately talking about the problem. I can take that and make a script out of it. I can take that and call someone and tell them the reason I'm calling. A lot of my customers have questions. A lot of my customers have severe chronic medical conditions like heart, lung, or kidney disease. They have questions about what kind of risks they have and how Medicare takes care of that for them. I can put a script together like that and have a conversation just like that with people. But notice down here, it says your health. Oops, sorry. It says your health, safety, and welfare is our highest priority. Talks about avoiding crowds, defer all cruise ships. How can they avoid paying taxes on their Social Security? How can they reduce the out-of-pocket they have? How can they make sure that their family's home will be paid off if something happens to them? Those are the conversations we have to have with people. They even tell you about prescriptions. Notice that the flow of all of this is it's important or what I can get. How do we do that? How do we do that in our own business? Well, let's go outside of our business. Let's go outside of our business, look at another business that we interact with. Let's look at the car business. There's a car dealer down here in my area that has a fantastic way of communicating because car dealers don't have foot traffic anymore, right? People aren't going out pulling the dealership, "Hey, let me test drive your car." So car dealers have been severely impacted. My guess is car dealers feel a lot like you do. Look what this car dealer did. Oh, there you go. They tell you how to get their prescriptions from Medicare. And it's great. They break it down in a way that's easy to understand. They talk about using in-network pharmacies, out-of-network pharmacies. Each one of those can become a question. Now, when you use in-network pharmacies, are you more concerned about the copays you have to pay or the out-of-pocket? See, I can turn any of those into a question. Here we go. This is what the dealership did. We come to you. What a great heading. We come to you. And think of their business model. People, for the most part, people drive to the dealership, get out of the car, and test drive a car. They're addressing that right off the get-go. We come to you. Complimentary pickup and delivery. Look at the underneath here. Complimentary pickup and delivery and at-home test drive only available 25 miles from the dealership. Isn't that great? Your home. They immediately address the thing that most people feel right now, which is I'm quarantined, I'm stuck inside my house. Your home. For your convenience and comfort, we provide the following services from your home. They take the objection that I'm not going to go out to a dealership and expose myself, and they get rid of it before it ever comes up. That's one of the things I address in the Sales Hero's Guide to Handling Objection book all the time. We already know what the 4 basic objections are: no money, no need, no hurry, no confidence. Same reason people won't buy, the same reason they will buy. They take the objection that is most common, that impacts their business, and they deal with it right up front. But what else do they do? Still want to test drive, purchase, or service your vehicle? Scroll down, they've got the arrows pointing down, scroll down to see how at-home test drives work. So people go, oh, okay, well, I can test drive it at home. See how at-home vehicle pickup for service works. I did that. I have a Honda. My wife's got a Honda CRV. We called them. They came pick the car up to do an oil change on it. But if you click on it, it's as easy as this. They give you the steps. In fact, one of the dominant closing questions that I teach agents is, let me tell you how this works. And that's what they do right here. They tell you how it works. Pick your new or used vehicle. Click the yellow schedule at home test drive button on any vehicle. Fill out the financing. They can value your trade-in online, or they can come pick it up at home. They can deliver the vehicle to your house. How easy do they make that? And look at how they handle the objections. I love this car. Great. Here's how you can buy it. I'm not sure about this car. Here's what you can do. I don't love this car. No problem. Here's what you can do. I love the way this is communicating. This is exactly how we should be communicating with the marketplace right now. Look at the latest articles. This was just last week. Stock market recovers after the Fed announces it will buy corporate bonds. What does that mean to the average consumer? Because the next sentence under that is rising coronavirus cases in numerous states had investors on the edge in rough morning opening. They want to talk to somebody. You saw the one article. Listen to the stock market. They want to know who to listen to. They should be listening to you. Look right here. U.S. adds nearly 1.8 million jobs in July, and 3 market experts break it down. I mean, jobs are coming back. The question is their job coming back? And is their job coming back fast enough that's going to change their finances? Lord, well, why do I care about all that? I sell insurance. Yeah, but if they don't have a job, if they don't have an income, if they're not willing to take the income that they do have and buy your product, you could not have that business. So it's important to understand what they're hearing. And it's necessary to be understanding. I know, every time we talk to people, we want them to understand what we've said. That's why we're so clear on that. That's why we go through all the details of the product. We want them to understand what we're telling them. What I'm telling you is it might be more important for you to be understanding. And there's ways to do that. This is an article just on the 6th, just a few days ago. S&P 500 near its record high. Stock market rally gains strength. You would think that you could smile and down, get people on their phone, woo, the market's coming back, man. Let's give me the money. Let me give you the money, rock and roll. But you know what? That's just that. If you hear a dog in the background, that's my dog Herbie. That's just probably not where most people are at. I mean, they're hopeful about the stock market, but we've got to be realists with them, and we've got to give them an avenue to talk about the things that are happening to them. I mean, look at this. This is from CNN Business in the same day. I think it was the same day I took it down. Stock market is this close to setting another record, the shortest bear market in history. What are you going to do? What's going to happen in your business when this is over with? Are you prepared for that? There's a ton of resources out there. And I think all the resources are great. I believe in resources. But if you're utilizing the resources the same way you did last year, it may not have the kind of impact on your business you actually thought about. So let's talk about that. The first article I showed you said, listen to the stock market. Well, let's talk about listening. In fact, let's delve a little bit into the science of listening. Being listened to is so close to being loved that sometimes our brain can't tell the difference. You've been with people like that, right? You've been at a party, or you've been on a plane, or you've been in a group of people, and that one person listens to you as if you're the only person in the room. You've also talked to the person that as you're talking, they're either jumping in, they can't wait for you to finish your sentence so they can tell you about their experience, or they're looking over your shoulder, because they're looking for someone more interesting to talk to, right? Being listened to is so close to being loved that sometimes our brain can't tell the difference. And without practice to active listening, our brains take us to our patterns. We all have a pattern. You have the pattern. A cue is the phone rings and the person says, hey, can I talk to Tom Smith? That's the cue. The cue triggers a routine. And the routine, as Tom Smith says, yeah, I'm not interested. I've already got it. I'm getting ready to walk out, go to the store. And the reason he says that is because the last time he told a telemarketer that, or a salesperson on the phone that, it got him off the phone. So that routine created a reward. And that reward was getting the person off the phone. And the reward created a craving. So the next time that cue came up, they did the exact same thing. See, without practice to active listening with people, our brains take us to our pattern and we see whatever is said through the context of what we know, not how the speaker's relating it. Active listening suspends our own beliefs in what we think we know and immerses us in the other stories. That's why I use the articles. It's third-party credibility. I wanted you to experience the topic and issues I was discussing based on the things that are out there for you all the time. It's part of active listening. And you can do this on the phone. We did this on the webinar. When I work with call centers, this is what I always have them put up on the wall. This is what I talk to them about all the time. You have to be uncomfortable. I mean, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And truthfully, people are just uncomfortable having these kind of conversations. And as an industry, I think we do a bad job of training agents, because at the end of every training, I always did the last thing I was trained on. So if I sat in on a training, if I got called in out of the field and went into a meeting and they did a training, if the last thing they trained on was the product, you know what I did when I got home? I studied the product. We do a horrible job of training people how to do what they know how to do in their personal life. I mean, think back when you meet your friends for a drink, or go have dinner with friends, or you get together with a group of people from work, or you go play softball or baseball. Do you have any problems communicating with them? Is there a challenge for you to listen to the person's experience that you care about? And do they listen to your experience? But when we're quote unquote selling, for some reason, we kind of give that up. We become uncomfortable. And what we have to do is we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. The challenge, so really what I'm saying is we have to challenge ourselves. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to challenge yourself to try at least one of these. So you got your pen and paper, so write down one of these, at least one of these. Pause before responding. I've done that numerous times in this webinar today. And you guys hadn't even said anything. Pause before you respond. No, sometimes no talking at all is good. Just the awkward pause isn't that bad. Sometimes not saying anything encourages people to say something. Listen to understand, not to respond. Too many salespeople listen to respond. That's why they jump in on the last 4 words of a sentence instead of listening to understand. Repeat and rephrase things. I'm going to show you a way to do that in one of my scripts that I use all the time, train people all the time, but repeat what people say and rephrase it to make sure that you understand what they meant. Not that you heard what they said, but that you understand what they meant. You know, it's sometimes giving no advice. I mean, that sucks the most. But sometimes we don't have to give people advice. We just have to validate them. Yeah, that's frustrating. I can see where that would be irritating. I agree with you. I'm nervous about what's going to happen too. Sometimes no advice is the best response. Abandon all personal experience and beliefs or perspectives. Don't talk about you. Ask questions about them. That's more important. When they feel like you are interested in them, then they will become interested in you. And sometimes play dumb. I do it all the time. I'm going to show you how I do it when we go on to one of these next parts here. In other words, listen like it's your only job. You know why? Because it is. Listening is your only job with people. You can't solve, and I know somebody is on the call right now saying, no, my job is to solve people's problems. But if they don't tell you what the problem is, and they don't see your product or service as a solution, then you're not going to solve anything for them. So we have to listen. Hone in on the pre-call planning. Make sure you're prepared. Make sure that your rate quoting software is already up. Make sure that the application's already up. Whatever your process is, make sure that's already up. Make sure you know how to do it. Make sure you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Make sure that people aren't waiting. I had an agent call me the other day for a Medicare supplement, and in the conversation, he's saying things like, okay, wait a minute, let me open this up. Let me scroll down. Now, they want me to ask. I'm sitting right here, and I'm like, you're not even telling me what you're doing, and I'm supposed to sit here and listen to you? He didn't do his pre-call planning. Hone in on cold calling. People have already been called. They're already burnt out with salespeople. You might be the person they're interested in talking to. Focus on making a good first impression. Don't build up the company. Don't build up the carrier. Don't build up the product. Build up the problem. Sell the problem people have, and then tell them what the solution is. Make sure you're really good at qualifying. And I don't mean qualifying people for the product you have. I mean qualifying people as a prospect, someone you should spend your time with, someone that has a need that you can solve, and someone that's motivated to solve that problem. They have the money to solve that problem. They're willing to spend the money to solve that problem, and they're willing to spend the money to solve that problem today. Because if all those things aren't in place, they're probably not going to buy from you anyway. Recognize and respond to obligations and prepare for negotiations. Those two things go hand in hand. People are going to talk about their obligations. I can't afford to do that. I got a house payment to make, car payment to make. Prepare to negotiate that. That's even more critical now than it's ever been, because that's what's on people's mind. I mean, just look what's happened just recently in the news, right? You got an executive order that's going to take care of unemployment, but the extra $1,200 people might get is in limbo. People are worried about that. Recognize and respond to obligations and prepare for negotiations. And be prepared. I mean, hone in on preparing and presenting your proposal, whatever it is. Hone in on doing that as smoothly and efficiently as possible. And I'm going to show you a way to do that. Really, what you're doing is you're negotiating a deal. You're not selling a product. You're negotiating a deal with people. And the deal is this is how they can solve their problem. And you've got to handle competitive and price objections. And part of the reason why you got to handle that is because as an industry, we've done a bad job of training people that that's the number one objection they should give us, because we don't deal with that up front. And when you do all that, you're a trusted advisor. So let's dive in. Let's talk about being a trusted advisor. Gong did a study over 18 months of 1 million sales call recordings and concluded that closing techniques are dead. They found there's no meaningful difference between successful and unsuccessful closing calls. Early in the sales cycle, there is a linear relationship between the number of questions you ask and your likelihood of closing a deal. The discovery call dictates the trajectory of your deal. In fact, Salesforce found that the bad news is 68% of sales reps' time is spent not selling. We're so busy reading the tea leaves and trying to figure out who the buyer is that we don't actually get out there and have conversations with people. In fact, 92% of all customer interactions has occurred over the phone, which is why you should be doing it. So here's the questions. Let's just want to briefly talk about these. What is it that you really want to be and do in your business? What are you doing really well that's helping you get there? What are you not doing really well that's preventing you from getting there? And what will you do different tomorrow to meet these challenges? And how can you help? Where do your clients need the most help? I want to talk about each of these for a minute. You can write them down. What is it that you really want to be and do? This question's about your aspirations. What's the purpose of what you're doing? What's the reason why you're doing what you're doing? And that should come out right here. You should take a minute to write that down. If you don't take the time to write it down, write the question down. The question's meant to get at the business goals and the broader aspirations. Because if you're wishing to be successful in business so that you can do more to help other people, then that marries why you're in business. The answer to the question should surface your driving passion and what it is that you do or wish you could be great at doing. What are you doing really well that's helping you get there? This question spotlights your core strength and your ability to execute towards the goal. This gets back to, you can have all these resources in the world, but if you can't execute it, if you can't relate with people, if you can't get them to open up with you, well, what are you naturally good at? Is it detailed and standardized business practices? Are you good at leading and motivating others? Are you good at numbers? What is it that you do better than the average salesperson that can help you achieve what you want to achieve? Because that's what you should be doing more of. What are you not doing well that's preventing you from getting there? And this is about facilitating an honest and critical assessment of the roadblocks. And you know what they are. You don't need me to tell you what they are. You don't need your spouse to tell you what they are. You don't need your manager to tell you what they are. You know what the roadblocks are. You know where your secret fears and challenges are. You know where your weaknesses are. You know what's slowing your ability to win in the game. Well, this whole thing is going to get over with. And then you're going to have that business that's left. What will you do different tomorrow to meet these challenges? Questions 2 and 3, I hope you're writing these questions down. Questions 2 and 3 help determine whether you're spending the right time on the right things. You don't measure things just because you're working hard. People tell me they're working hard all the time and they don't work effectively. Someone might have a great work ethic, but if you're not focused on the right priorities, then you're making good time, but you lost. People also tend to practice and repeat what they already are good at. So it's human nature. It's human nature to show off your best side, but it's the weaknesses that we have to focus on that are holding us back. So use this question to probe whether you have the right aptitude to change behavior. And lastly, how can you help and where do you help clients the most? The answers to the first 4 questions matched against areas where you as a sales professional have a particular strength, your relationships or learning resources should help determine how you best help clients achieve their goals. So let's dive in. I'm going to show you a few things that you can do. Sell the problem and not the product. People are interested in their own product. Problems, they're not interested in your product. So start building a yes momentum when you're talking to people. Too many salespeople use the spray and pray routine. You got to engage throughout the pitch and get a yes momentum. You got to get people saying yes. The outdated tie downs don't work, and I'm a big tie down fan. But do you have any more questions? Those tie downs are gone. If you don't build a yes momentum and then ask for the sale at the end when it seems appropriate, then you're just praying you get a sale. It's the spray and pray. The agent I had on the phone the other day told me everything about AARP meds up. Didn't ask one question about me. How do you build that yes mentality? Well, you got to ask better tie-down questions like this. Compared to how you've been accessing healthcare, how would this help you going forward? See, this is an open-ended question that gets more information. John, let's take a pause here. From what you've heard so far, how's this looking to you? We got to get yeses from people. We got to get them engaged. I, here's I'm going to give you an example of how to do this, because agents are asking me all the time, how do you do that? How do you get people more engaged? So let's say I'm selling a Medicare supplement. I want to get a prospect engaged in this, and I can do this with any product: annuities, life insurance, long-term care, you name it. So I say to Betty, and here's what I'm going to do. I want to find out, is there a way to know how Betty feels about aging? And here's how I would find that out. Betty, let me ask you this. As you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? Now, you notice that the words that are bolder are the words that I emphasize in my conversation, right? Betty, let me ask you this. As you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? Now, it's like being a lawyer. I already know what she's going to say. She gets less healthy, right? Now, Betty, as you get less healthy, do you believe your medical expenses will become more expensive or less expensive? See, when she answers that question, I get to dive into the experiences that she's had in that. And this is questions about her and her experiences, and that's what people are interested in. And this is where I talk about selling the problem. Because when she says that her expenses are become more expensive, I'm going to say, is that what you want to have happen? Most salespeople jump right in. I can save you money. Let me tell you, I can do this. Are you healthy? Are you a Medicare? They jump right in with that nonsense. They go right into selling. I'm going to turn around and sell the problem she's got. The problem she just told me is that as she aged, she gets less healthy. And if she gets less healthy, her medical expenses become more expensive. I'm going to sell her on that problem. Betty, is that what you want to have happen? Well, no, Lord, I don't want it to have happen, but what are you going to do? That's the way it is. Well, let me ask you this. What plans do you have to manage these growing medical expenses as you age? I want to put her in an emotional position where she identifies the future problems that she's afraid of and compares it to what solutions she thinks she has to solve that problem. And that's the only way and the only time she's going to see me as a solution. So she's either going to say, I don't know, my brother-in-law sells insurance, or that's why I'm talking to you. And a lot of times what they say is, that's why I'm talking to you. So is there a way to know why they have health insurance? I think we can find that out too. But let me ask you this. Why do you have health insurance? Do you have health insurance for your best health year or your worst health year? Now, you and I both know that she's got it for her worst health year, not her best health year. So when she says her worst health year, then in your worst health year, are you expecting to pay out of your pocket for medical care? Or do you see an insurance company paying these growing medical expenses at some point? You see how that conversation's all about them and identifying their problem? I haven't mentioned my company, my carrier, my product, or me anywhere in the conversation. All I'm talking about them. In fact, I can find out how they like to access healthcare while illustrating to them how we can solve the problems that we've just been talking about. But let me ask you this. How do you prefer to access healthcare? Do you need to manage your monthly budget? You don't get sick very often. You don't mind seeing a doctor in a network. You're willing to pay some out of your pocket each time you see a doctor, have a procedure, or in the hospital, in order to have your premium a little bit lower? Now, really, aren't I describing like a Med Advantage plan here? Or do you want to be able to see any doctor, hospital, or clinic anywhere in the country who accepts Medicare assignment? More than 95% of them do. Show your benefit card, receive your medical care, leave, and never see a bill. Which way do you prefer to access healthcare? Aren't they kind of describing the solution they're looking for? Med Advantage, Plan G, Plan F. Aren't they kind of describing that? I've already dropped them in that funnel. I already know how they feel about aging. I already know how they want to access healthcare. I already know why they have healthcare, why they have insurance. Everything I did is have a conversation. In fact, if you go back and look at the articles, you'll see that some of the terminology is in those articles. That's why they're called clickbait. Which way do you prefer to access healthcare? And then shut up and listen. And they'll tell you which way they prefer to access healthcare. Here's some other ideas for you. We're going to kind of wind down here. Here's some other ideas for you. And just follow the psychology of this. Follow the psychology of this. We're going to talk about pain and benefit, right? So pain's what's happening, benefits how to relieve the pain. Do you ever wish, you start your sentence off with, do you ever wish? Are you tired of? Are you struggling to? And then you add, do this or get this, and then learn or understand the benefit. Do you ever wish you didn't have any out of pocket when you went to the doctor? Do you get tired of the doctor handing you a bill? Are you getting a bill in the mail? Do you struggle to find a doctor that will take you, that doesn't bring in people that aren't covered by Medicare? If you had a plan that you just showed your benefit card, received your medical care, left, and never saw a bill, how would that impact your life? See how I use that? That's the kind of conversations we need to have. We can talk about feelings. Are you feeling? And talk about what they feel before. And we saw it in all the headlines, right? Talk about what they're feeling about what's going on. Are you feeling frustrated, concerned? Do you feel like there's the tragedy going on right now? Identify the feeling because of, and hit the pain point. Are you feeling concerned because the stock market's down and that could impact your fixed income? Betty, that's why I wanted to discuss with you a way to reduce the taxes on your Social Security. See, that's my content. You do this and you get this. See the trade-off? You do this and you get this. So that they go, oh, okay, yeah, all right, well, that makes sense. We can talk about the average day. Again, I'm just taking you back to the headlines. Are you tired of? Are you tired of not knowing what's going to happen next? If you do this, you get this. Talk about before and the after. So this is the before day, tired of, whatever's been going on. Tell them what they need to do. And this is what's going to happen afterwards. This is the benefit afterwards. It's what they get out of it. The analogy, it's like a known thing for your market. Are you paying more than you want or the more you expected for your health insurance? See what I mean? It's like a known thing. You'll also learn more. So what if they're going to learn? You'll also find out that when you call doctors and schedule the appointment and you show up to the appointment, you won't have a dime out of your pocket. You'll also find out that when the interest rates go, when the bond rates go up, your return on your annuity, the interest you're getting inside annuity is not going to change. So I can do it with any product. And again, we talk about what they get, what they learn, or what they understand. We have to remove the barriers that we place in front of ourselves. Barriers have more of an effect on the top third of sales reps, on the bottom third of sales reps than the top ones. And the reason for that is if you already have a book of business and you're already getting $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 renewal, you're just having to replace the ones falling off during this pandemic, right? But if you're in the bottom 2/3, you got to remove those barriers. 68%. Sales reps spend 68% of their time researching, not selling. Just got to smile and die. You got to get on the phone with people. Quit looking for buyers. Look for people that will have a conversation with you. Building rapport is associated with an 86% increase in the odds of setting an appointment. Building a rapport. And here's how you talk about yourself. Talk about where you studied. I've been in insurance since 1977. I've studied insurance for 40 years. I worked on my own. I worked for companies. I worked for broker dealers. I ran my own agencies. I felt like I needed to give back to agents and work with agents and not focus so much on selling anymore. And since then, I've been, see how I'm doing that? That's how you need to do it. That's how you talk about you. Since then, you've been doing what? You've been helping people do what? And don't just talk about saving money. Talk about increase their monthly disposable income by having more money to buy the early bird special, by having more money to set aside for long-term care expenses. Talk about what they get from working with you, not what you have. Part of your A/B transformation is tell them it works like this, and it works like this. And when you use it, this happens. This is why it works, Betty. This is why other things don't work. This is why those other things you talked to me about don't work. This is how it fits into the big picture. That's how you do the transformation. And talk about the track record. Talk about what people who have used you, have worked with you, have said about you. Talk about what you've managed to achieve. Talk about the change that people have experienced working with you. Excuse me. Sorry, my allergies are kicking up. And then talk about how that impacted you. Look at these charts here. This is the customer journey and the buyer's journey. So what is the customer thinking or feeling during the awareness stage, the consideration stage, and the decision stage? What is the customer's action? What and where is the buyer researching? And how will we move the buyer along in his or her journey with us in mind? These things should be an integrated part of your sales personality. You should know them. You should be able to have that conversation. Because when you do know those things, when those are bullets in your gun and you can pull them out at a second's notice with the drop of a word, then you'll know what the customer's feeling. You'll know why the customer's feeling that way. You'll know how to communicate with them, and you'll know what action you need to take. I'm going to close this part of it out by giving you the 10 key performance indicators you have to focus on. Focus on calls, contacts, correct contacts, appointments set, appointments held, selling the problem they have, making the proposal, overcoming obstacles, closing the sale, and referrals. And you got to start, all that starts with having a conversation. And here's my final thought on this. You can't make a difference with your prospect unless you are the difference. Don't compare yourself to other agents. Contrast yourself to other agents. You know, when we started off, I wanted to talk about the cravings that what's going on in people's lives create with them. And we talked about that. We talked about what you have to recognize to address these cravings. And these are things other people don't see. And we talked about ways to eliminate the headache of a sales script. We've got to get rid of that sales script. I showed you some powerful words that help consumers tell you what they want. And we talked about dynamic phrases and statements to eliminate the most common objections people have. And I give you some bonuses, went over those charts with you. So let me ask you this. Has this helped you today to have a clear understanding of what concerns prospects might have before you dive into your sales pitch? Do me a favor, type in the chat box and just let me know. Type in the chat box and let me know if you feel like that today kind of helped you with a clear understanding in that. Let me know if you can relate buying behaviors to those concerns. And if you feel like you can better design, personalize a solution for people, just type in the chat box and let me know. All right, great. I really appreciate that, Chris, Steve, Peter, thank you very much. Yeah, that's good. Really, what I want you guys to walk away with today is to know that you have to start selling from a value standpoint and generating a powerful close. In fact, and just we're a couple of minutes away from you getting your cheat sheet. But let me ask you this question. I have a way for us to keep working together. I have some of my resources I want to show you, and I want to get your permission to show that. Just type in the chat box real quick. Gina, let me know, is that okay if I show you guys a way we can continue to work together, a way that will fit into your lifestyle and your budget and give you some resources that are maybe different than the other resources? Just type in yes. Yeah, is that all right? Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I've got a program for you. It's the Agent Survival and Selling by Phone course. This is in my virtual training platform. And remember, what we wanna do is we wanna sell the problem people have, and we wanna tell them what the solution is. And this course is specifically designed to help you get rid of being an unpaid consultant, quit being a professional visitor, Get rid of call reluctance. Get rid of objections over price. There's 4 basic objections. We already know what they are. They should not even be coming up. Get rid of clients who say they don't know anyone to refer you to. Get rid of struggling with the needs assessment. And get rid of struggling with prospects to take action. Quit wasting your time with people who are never going to buy from you so that you can close business from people that will buy from you. Mike Zena is a sorry, man, my sinus is really acting up. Mike Zena is a client of mine. He's a Fielding certified financial planner. He said, Lloyd knows his business. He's a consummate professional, diligent in his practice, and has a flair for making it fun. I've learned how to better attract a tribe, engage them, and keep them coming back for more. That's exactly what this course is going to show you how to do. Engaging a tribe is the most important thing you can learn how to do. If you want more engagement from your prospects, talk to Lloyd. In this course, you're going to get the virtual phone selling with 16 lessons. I'm going to show you what's in these lessons. I want you to see exactly what's in these lessons. When you log into your platform, this is your training, virtual training platform. You're going to click the training, but you'll see here you got your training center, your calendar, your file vault, your usage report. You can put your notes in here. I'll show you exactly how this works. You click on Start Training. It brings up the program, brings up your course. There's 16 lessons in it. When you click on the lessons, you see up here at the top, you've got homework. And in that homework, you're going to, sorry, I'm going to try and do something here real quick. Right here, in that homework, you're going to use that to follow along in these lessons. So these lessons talk about what's getting in your way, the 10 most common mistakes salespeople make. I go through 14 tips to connect with and relate with prospects. Some of what we talked about today, but in a lot deeper. Every one of these is an hour or longer. We talk about people on the move. That's the senior market. I go into details about the Medicare market and what they want to do, things that you may have never thought about in the Medicare market before. I go through the major retirement concerns. And these retirement concerns cover everything from annuities to long-term care to everything that they're concerned about. Remember, this isn't the product. This is the things they're concerned about and the conversations you need to have with them. I go through consumer buying behaviors and how to close it. Talk about handling objections. There's 2 parts to handling objections. One is the setup and one is the transition. And I go through the 4 things script. The 4 things close. I did a little bit of the 4 things script with you today when I talked about knowing why they have health insurance, why they buy a MedSup, why they go to the doctor. And then we go through final expenses, package selling, package of final expense with a MedSup, and I go in detail about how to use annuities to reduce the taxes on Social Security. That's not all you get. When you're going through this training in your virtual platform, this is what it looks like. You get the video, you can make it bigger or smaller, and you can take notes right here on the left-hand side. But something else happens as you go through this. As you go through this training, when it's over with, on most of these lessons, you got a quiz. This is why it's not like other resources you have. You actually have to go through and show yourself you know how to do it. Now, I didn't make it difficult. It's only a 60% passing rate. Some of them have 4 questions, some of them 15 like this one here. So if you went through the 4 things script, I'm going to ask you some questions. The 4 things script's the thing I went through earlier today. We're going to see if you remember how to use that script. You'll get the questions. You'll answer the question. When you get the question right, when you fill in the blank correctly, it's going to tell you got it right. If you get it wrong, it's going to tell you got it wrong, and then you'll need to take it again. So let's talk pricing. Let's talk and that's what you want to know, right? What do you charge for this, Lloyd? Is this like $19.95 a year, $1,995 a year, all that nonsense? Well, I want to make this affordable for everybody. I want to be fair to myself, and I want to make sure that you can walk away with the resources so when this pandemic's over with, you've got a business left and it's a growing business. So let's talk pricing. I'm going to show you what my thinking is. I do these trainings for all over the place for all kinds of organizations. And here's what they charge for my training. And this is what I charge them for my training. So I did a training with the Lead Generation Summit. They charge $1,297 to attend the summit. But if you just came to my training, you would have paid $197 with them, just for the 1 hour webinar, kind of like what we did today. You pay $197. Glenn attended it. He said, thanks for the quick reply, because I reply to everything. If you send me an email, you're going to get a reply from me. If you go to lloydlofton.com, you can schedule a 15-minute phone conversation with me. I'll talk to you. So I replied to it. He said, very impressed with your session in the Lead Summit. I just ordered your book, Leads to Results. Thanks. The Association of Strategic Marketing uses my material. I did a training called How to Overcome the Overcome an Objection Syndrome. They charge people $99 for it. The Administrative Assistance Resources Organization, they use my 7 skills of a successful salesperson. They charge $99 for it. The Tax Professional Resources, this is interesting. They actually use my article, The Social Security Tax Surprise, as a bonus if you sign up to their organization. I do a lot of work through Lorman Education. I am a distinguished faculty with them. So if you took the How to Recruit and Hire Top Performing Sales Professionals, you click the purchase options, and the live webinar, you would have paid $99. If you wanted the audio and the reference manual that went with it, like in your virtual training platform, you're going to have all the reference manuals. You would have paid $168 for this 1 hour program. Same thing with the 7 skills of a successful salesperson. It charged $99. So I'm gonna say the going rate's $99 for a 1 hour training with me, because that's what everybody else charges on it, and that's what's fair. So if there's 14 lessons, that's $1,386. But it gets better than that. I'm also going to include my fast track coaching. I have more than 100 1-minute coaching videos here that you can go in, you can download them, or you can go in and you can watch them on a whole different slew of topics and get direct, pointed, targeted information that tells you right now what you can do and how to do it. Things like how to go from face-to-face sales to telephone sales, rejections versus objections, how to create a sale. You watch the video right there. You can download the video. I'm going to include that in there. If you go to iTunes, you're going to pay $10 a piece. There's about 100 of them in there. That's like $1,000. That's $2,386. So let me ask you this. If you could get that kind of value, if you could help stabilize your business, build a reliable income, and increase your sales consistently, with $2,386 have been a good value for you? Type in the chat box and tell me, do you think that would have been a good value? If you could stabilize your business, when this pandemic's over with, if you could look back on your business and say, yes, my business is stable. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. This kind of stuff is exactly what we need, but of course nobody's going to pay that. That's ridiculous. I keep looking over here because the chat box is over here. Joyce is a messenger, was someone I worked with. He said, Lloyd and I worked together at American Enterprise, and I cannot sing his praises loud enough. When I originally met Lloyd, I was green in the art of selling products, and through his help and insight, I became a sales manager in just over a year. Lloyd's direct approach to training and sales is excellent, and I feel he is and will be successful. And he's still a good friend of mine down in South Carolina. He likes boating. He's got a nice little sailboat. And I've got a special bonus if you jump in today. I'm going to also include my podcast. There's 40 podcasts that you can download, have it on your Android or your iPhone or on your desktop. And I go through all kind of stuff. And these podcasts are 30 minutes to an hour. 7-step sales presentations, working leads, handling objections, closing, capturing referrals. It's all down there for you. You click on any of them, asking questions, final expense, 4 basic objections, truisms, how to work telemarket leads. I'm including all this in there. They're podcasts. I'm including all of them in there for you. Again, you can click on any one of them, brings a dialog box on your computer, you download it. Those things, again, if you go to iTunes, $10 a piece, $400. I mean, this whole package for your agent survival and selling by phone course, your virtual phone selling platform is worth $2,786. But here's what I think you should pay for it. This is what I think you should invest in yourself as an ongoing effort to grow your business. And I'm going to be right there with you every step of the way. I think you should pay $97 today and $47 a month after that. And there's a reason for that. Not only are you going to get all the material we've talked about today, but you're going to get me every month. Every month you're going to get me. Not only are you going to get me, but you're going to have the opportunity to ask me any question you want every time we do that webinar. Janelle is a good customer of mine. She said, I've gained so much insight from your expertise in such a short time. Thanks for giving back your time, knowledge, and mastery. Your training does a great job of breaking down the process and buying behavior especially well, particularly for a newbie like herself. But here's that one last surprise I said. You get the exclusive only, or members only exclusive webinars. So every month you're going to be able to jump into the webinar. You can ask me live questions. In fact, you can even email me before the webinar and I will address it during the webinar. So if you ran into an objection you had trouble handling, if you've got a script you want me to kind of help you edit for that, you can do that and I'll address it during the webinar. So you get the virtual phone selling course, $1,386. You get the bonus fast track coaching. That's worth $1,000. You get the podcast, it's worth $400. And you can't put a price on the members only webinars because it's like being on the call with me every month like you are right now. That's a $2,786 value. You're going to get it for $97 today, $47 a month after that. You cancel it at any time. You can check your email or you can look in the chat box. In fact, I'm going to put it up here right now. You can look in the chat box. Well, maybe I'll put it up here right now. I'm going to put it in the chat box right now. Give me a second. I'm going to copy and paste it in there. All right, you can see it right there. I got to copy and paste this puppy. I'm doing it live for you, so you know everything I do is live. I'm going to move over here. And I'm going to scroll down. See how I'm telling you what I'm doing? That's what you need to do with people when you're on the phone with them. I'm going to scroll down. There, I put the payment link right there in the chat box. So you've already gotten an email. You can go to the chat box and you can do it. Listen, you got two choices right now. You can do nothing, not take this leap of faith, which is 100% risk-free, or you can pony up this small amount of money. You'd spend more money. The $97 is more money than you would spend on a profile list. The $47 a month is more than you spend on Starbucks when you're able to go out all the time. And that did nothing to help you grow your business. You can pony up this small amount, this small investment. And what do you have to lose? Nothing. Listen, I started off today by talking about some myths. You use lead services to get more contacts and bam, all of a sudden you're gonna make more money. More prospects than you can handle. You're gonna learn how the annuity industry works. All the trends in the annuities and boom, all of a sudden people are gonna be giving you their money. You can implement appointment setting tools and software. I'm not saying it's not good to have, but just implementing that doesn't make you more money. Just getting someone on the phone doesn't make you more money. You know that. And you can learn to leverage technology. Use LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn and connect with me. I've got 30,000 connections. 30,000 people follow me on LinkedIn. Just using LinkedIn is not going to help you convert people when you get them on the phone. Because we're told all the time, if you do these things, you'll sell a ton more and people will buy. I don't know about you, but I just haven't found that to be true. So you get the virtual phone selling course, 14, there's actually 16. I put that in there wrong. There's 16 lessons. You get the bonus fast track coaching, more than 100 videos, 1 minute, and I get right to the point. You don't have to listen to a lot of preamble. I just go right to the point. You get podcasts. Some of those podcasts are up to an hour. You can download them, have them on your iPhone. I go through everything for you. I mean, everything. How to work telemarket leads, how to work direct mail leads. All that's in there for you. It's just fabulous stuff. I wish I'd had that when I started in this business. And you get the members only webinars. Skipper Pond was a manager for me. He's a Pond Insurance Agency. Working with Lloyd was extremely instrumental in my development in the health and life insurance business. If you ever get a moment to share time with him, you'll come away with so many essential nuggets within the industry. And we're still good buddies. He's over in North Carolina. So it's $97 a day, $47 a month. You cancel at any time. The link's in your chat box. Just click on it or check your email. I've already put it in your email. And in your emails, the download, the free download for you to COVID-19. I wrote this back in February before anyone else had anything out about COVID-19. I already had this out there for agents to use with their prospects. This is the exact kind of stuff you need to be saying to your prospect and the things that your prospect are interested in. And I think, you tell me, I started off by saying we don't need more training. We need better training. So let me ask you this. Type in the chat box and tell me, do you feel like I gave you some better training today? Just curious. If you think that, do you think this was more training or do you think there was better training? There's no link. Gene, I'm sorry, I'll put it in the chat box again. There, I just put it in again. But Gene, also check your email. You've got an email from me right now that has the payment link in there. So we don't need more training. We need better training. Listen, you'll nail this. This isn't this difficult. You can hit your goals every month, build a consistent income you and your family deserve, receive the coaching you need to get past those barriers. I want to give you a final thought on this, and then I'm going to answer some questions that people have. Listen, you can learn something, because I work with really experienced agents all the time. Well, I already know this stuff. Okay. You can learn something wrong perfectly, and you can perfectly do what you learned wrong. And that's exactly why a lot of agents don't make the money that they expect. You can learn something wrong perfectly. And you can perfectly do what you learned wrong. And that could be why you're not making a dime. Hang on a second. I'm going to find out. I see in the chat box. If you'll bear with me for a second, I'm going to see. That's where some questions are at. Let me go back to this chat box for a second. All right. Do you see it now? Is it in there now? Maybe I need to take that technology class. Maybe I need to get that technology resource. Woo! All right, it should be in there now. I think it's in there. Nope, you don't see it now. Well, I don't know what the heck the problem is. I'm going to post it one more time, but check your email. It is absolutely in your email. Here it is. I just put it in there again. It says from me to, oh, that's the panelist. All right, I tell you what I'm going to do. Let's do something else here because I don't know what the problem is. I'm going to go to the Q&A. Click on the Q&A box. Give me just a second here. I can't figure out why this chatting is not working right. All right, you're here. I'm going to answer live. Well, looks like Zoom's having an issue, my friends. All right, I'm going to fix that and see if that works any better. All right. Oh, you thought so because it looks different? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, so it's having an issue. All right. Well, it's in your email. I don't want to keep people any longer. We've already gone way over time. It's in your email. So let me answer some questions people have. How do I turn suspects into prospects? You know, God, we've already gone for an hour and a half. I don't want to take people's time to go into details, but listen, the reason somebody's a suspect instead of a prospect is because you're looking for buyers, not people have a conversation with you. How do I transition or best utilize a lead? Quit using your leads and start opening conversations. That's the best thing I can tell you. Find lead vendors who know how to get you in front of people, and then when you get in front of people, start having conversations. Give me new ideas about contacting possible clients. Contact me offline and I'll give you some ideas about that. I'm just running out of time. Jill said, I pulled the trigger. Woo, congratulations. No matter how seasons we are always investing in ourselves and advancing. You're a terrific partner and resource. This is a no-brainer. All right, thanks. I need to learn all this because I'm new to the business, very insightful. Well, being new means that you're more open-minded. People have been in business 40 years, so welcome to the industry. What are the best lead types? It just depends on how you want to work. If you go to lloydlofton.com, click on 15-minute meeting, I'll be happy to talk to you about that. Do we also get notified of ongoing members? Yeah, you do get notified, but you do need to be proactive on the site. I seem to run into, I can't afford it. Well, the reason that we run into I can't afford it is we're pitching people that we haven't pre-qualified for it. You deal with the price. If you get the same objections 3 out of 5 presentations, start including that objection at the beginning. People keep telling me they don't need it. Well, they don't need it. What you're doing is you're selling a product, you're not selling a problem. Start selling, and I don't mean to be so direct to you, I'm just trying to hurry because we've been on so long. Stop selling a product, start selling the problem people have. What's the best time to present? When they're asking you questions. Tony says, this is a terrific hour spent. I speak to most of all of what you are, but your delivery superb. Thank you so much. Very excellent. I have some questions, maybe reach out to you at a later time. All right, great, cool. So $97, you should already have your email. It's got the payment link in it. I apologize for the chat. I'll send Zoom help and kind of figure out why this problem happened so we don't have to go through it again. So what's in the email? The payment link's in the email. You got an email, the downloads in the email, and the payment link's in the email. So $97, $47 a month. Go to lloydlofton.com. Appreciate you being here. Go out there and make as many mistakes as you can, as fast as you can. And lloydlofton.com, click on 15 minutes. I'll be happy to visit with you. Take care, guys.